Hello, everybody, wherever you may be, from coast to coast, sea to shining sea. Welcome back to Ham Radio Live, a show about radio for people who love radio. Today's a big guest, Steve, temporarily offline. You might know him that way, but also on Coffee and Ham Radios. We are so honored to have him. Going to talk about your first ham shack. From around the world, wherever you may be, welcome to Ham Radio Live.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go?
Little Clapton Blues. This is requested by Steve today.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go?
Little Sweet Home Chicago. Enjoy the show.
Back from Atlanta, California, to my sweet home, Chicago. Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go?
Clapton, one of the best blues players in history.
Back from Atlanta, California, to my sweet home, Chicago.
All right, gang, from around the world, wherever you may be, welcome to Ham Radio Live. Away we go. Hi, everybody. A very happy Saturday, wherever you may be. My name's Larry. My call sign's Ham Radio is Kilo 7 Hotel November. Our Saturday shows here are to help you get better at whatever you might be looking for in ham radio. And we have something special today. I wish I had better resolution. I reset the doggone computer, but okay, there you go. The point is, we want to help you in different areas of ham radio, always on Saturdays, okay? But if you're not a licensed ham, what we'd like to tell you is to please contact someone like the American Radio Relay League at www.arrl.org. They'll send you a radio club that's near you to help you get licensed. That's the best way to start. Find a national radio club to help you get started. www.arrl.org. It's the coolest hobby in the whole doggone world. If you'd like to email the show, please feel free and reach out to me at cqhamradiolive@gmail.com. Great forecast today for you. You got an A index of 4, a K of 1, so low noise floors today. Please turn your ham radio on. Right now in the Northwest, seeing all the way to 12 meters, working just fine. We're going to look at how much of a multitasker Steve is. He's got 2 YouTube channels here. He really does. Let's take a look at, I guess he has 3. There's 3 YouTube channels. Well, let's get a look at 2, all right? First one is from his temporarily offline channel. Take a look at this.
Howdy everybody, this is Steve, KM9G, and we have some sunny weather as you can see behind me, and still lots of snow. It's almost 30 degrees out here. Let me show you what I'm looking at. Oh, this is crazy. This is Big Butternut Lake. This is right down the street in Luck, and people like to drive on this stuff. And it's a pretty big lake, so I can see where it gets its name from. Anyway, I wanted to play radio outdoors. I'm getting sick of being inside. We got half of a W3FF buddy pole, the old-fashioned buddy pole, before buddy pole became what it is today. And this has been a fantastic antenna for me. I'm playing around today. I've got this clamp mount that I was telling you about, if I can stand up straight. And I've got a bunch of radials coming off of it because I'm just playing. And these are 17 foot. There's 4 of them. Let's get back over here to the truck and take a look at the SWR scan on it. That's not looking all that great. And that's a snowplow that just went by and scared me to death. Let's see what the tuner thinks of it. All right. And now we got some more signals in. That's good. Let's see what the SWR looks like on that portion after the tune. A little below 3 to 1. And I
Isn't
think
that
I can
great?
get that to be a
He
little
shows
bit
you
better.
the full band sweep.
So we call that tonnage law, and he wins. This is how we clear snow up in Wisconsin. And we've got so much snow plowing equipment that we're clearing the boat ramp here that I'm hanging out on in front of the lake. He promises me that I don't need to go anywhere, so I'm going to keep on playing, but I'm keeping an eye on my ground radials. Getting better all the time. Let me turn that volume down a little bit. All right, so what I did, the instructions on the Buddy Stick Pro say 13 turns, and I wasn't sure if it was 13 turns from the top or 13 turns from the bottom, so I moved it up to the top, 13 turns down instead of 13 turns up. And let's take a look and see what it looks like. So this little marker right here is following the 2-to-1 line, and I do not have the antenna tuner on, and it's looking pretty darn good. We're at 14,143.
Look at that sweep.
Climbing up a little bit, almost to 3.
Beautiful.
14,200. I can probably dial it in a little bit more by tapping that coil a little bit higher even. A little bit of a dip there. Let's see what the tuner thinks about this. Get to an empty space.
And for folks that don't know, this is a Xiegu X6100.
That looks good. Now let's run the scan again. Yep. All right. So that's the section of the band I'm going to play with. All right. So I switched the taps over. For 40 meters, it is 39 taps. So it's got to be 39 taps down from the top to the bottom. So closer to the bottom on the coil than it is to the top on the coil. And we're already getting some good signals. Let's see what the SWR scanner tells us. Pretty high. I've got the ATU off, and we're making a nice beeline right down. Oh, look at that. I don't even have the tuner on, and it's right at the top of the band. It's in good shape.
Beautiful.
So maybe if I move it 1 or 2 on the taps, it might move it down a little bit more. Let's try that. So we're down at the last tap on the bottom. That's the last possible space for that thing to go. Let's see where that moves us to. Okay, that was definitely a move in the right direction. So 7157 looks like it's about the lowest, and I'm sure the tuner can touch up all the rest of it. That's actually pretty broad-banded for 40 meters on a coil.
Isn't that great? That's how good Steve is. What he taught you was how the buddy pole antenna worked. He showed you how it worked. He showed the SWR sweeps. He was very educational and very patient. Good man. Like this guy a lot. I really have for a long time. That's why it's such an honor to have him on the show. He's also part of another show. That's on Saturday and Sunday mornings here in the States, 9 a.m. in the Central Time Zone. Here it is.
Get your day started right. From our shack to yours, this is Coffee and Ham Radios. We are live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back. Oh, that's me. Hang on. Welcome back, everybody. This is Steve, and I want you to be happy to talk about youth on the air today. And I got to get that shut down. It's my stream's playing in my ears. There we go. It's hard to talk while I'm talking to myself in my own headset.
It is.
6 seconds delayed or whatever that math is. But today is Youth on the Air Day because we've decided that that's what we're going to call today. I've got Mr. Neil Rapp here, WB9VPG. He is the director of YODA Region 2, Youth on the Air Region 2. And he put on a fantastic camp last year. We had 22 campers attend. Is that right?
Yeah, well, 24 and 23 for the rest of the week. We had one had to leave early. So
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Now, I cut the video a little short because I want to spend more time with T.O. to be able to have his questions. You know, you guys ask questions of him, right? Here's a gentleman that puts a lot of time into helping others in radio from the beautiful state of unknown. Not going to share it because we're going to make sure we keep keep him a little bit simple. We're going to let you meet him now. This is Steve from Coffee and Ham Radios as well as Temporary Offline. Thanks for coming, mate. Great to have you. We are honestly grateful. Thanks for coming, mate.
Yeah,
Happy Saturday to you. See, he's the yin to the ape's yang. He really is. You know, he's like the ape. He's the opposite of the ape. It's good. Steve, welcome. It's good to have you. You just finished a good episode today talking about youth on the air and, you know, how to get youth involved. And I think it was a great show. Talk a little about that, about what Coffee and Ham Radio is about for people who may not have seen it before.
Yeah, we're trying to have I guess trying is the wrong word to use because we actually are doing it. We have a show that we put out Saturday and Sunday morning, starts at 9 a.m. Central Time. And the main point of anything that I do in ham radio is you can do this. And I want to make it easy for you. I want to make it approachable for you. I want to answer questions that you might have. I want to give you some encouragement and some suggestions. Mm-hmm. Because when I got my ham license, people were talking over my head, and it, you know, like I got an antenna from another ham, and it was a G5 RV, and the first thing I heard was, "Oh, that's a compromise." And now I'm a wise old ham, and every antenna is a compromise, yes, every single one of them. So, what good did that do me in the hobby? And I knew he meant well, but the the approach was a little gruff because he had, I don't know, 30, 40 years worth of ham experience under his belt, and I had 30, 40 minutes worth of ham
Yeah,
experience
exactly.
under my belt.
Right.
And all I heard was, this is bad, you
Oh
know?
boy. Oh
And
no.
I put it up wrong. I had no idea what I was doing at the time, and I still made contacts with it. And so it's more
Good for you, mate. Good for you.
Yeah, it's more important to me to get that message out. Just throw a wire in a tree and you'll be happy. You know, get some signals in the air, make some magic happen, and then you'll find out, well, I just met this guy in Australia and I can't talk to him. What do I have to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you've got that spark and you can start to get to the other end of that and figure out what antenna I need and what are takeoff angles and what is gray line and how do I work this propagation stuff. And that's where our show comes in, is to help you get that missing link and level up your game in ham radio.
Very good. And you do a very successful job at it. You guys are really very chill, laid back, good talk show. It follows a lot of, television talk show formats, usually on ESPN and other networks, where you get people just in different, positions in, in the country, and you guys talk about things that are relative to ham radio. I do want to welcome quickly John Hummel Newell. We always do this here because it's silly, but it makes people look forward to that. John Hummel Newell, first one in. Welcome, mate. Good to have you today. There you go. There's your Roadrunner, and congratulations, you were first. Okay. All right. Steve, also here from the UK. Mike 7, India Whiskey Hotel. Jeremy from Albany, Oregon. Kilo 7, Victor Foxtrot Oscar. Cliff Bolton, Virginia, Whiskey Delta 4, Oscar Bravo Papa. We've got Tio sharing it with the stream, so he's part of this whole deal, and that's pretty cool. William in Jacksonville, November 5, Echo Victor Victor. Thank you for coming. I'm glad you liked the tune. That was actually for for Steve. He really liked the blues, and I started thinking, who plays blues the best? Well, B.B. King, obviously. But, Clapton was just so good. So you got to play some Clapton. The rest of you folks, I want to welcome you in the channel. I want you to please put any questions you have for Tio in the comment stream. We'll make it part of today's show. And we're grateful wherever you may be in this world that you're here. Thank you. Steve, talk about your YouTube channel, your first one. Okay. When did you start it? And what was the goal that you had for that channel?
Yeah, I really didn't even know what the goal was. I just wanted to share stuff. So when I was younger, my dad was a teacher, and he always talked about how happy he was and how excited he was for his job. And he would take me into work and he would show the slides that he was making for his class. And it was an old HP plotter that he used to do these overhead slides on. And everybody in the area knew him. I grew up in a small town, and there was a nuclear power plant in the town, and just about everybody worked there because it was the biggest place to work. And he was the guy that would do the annual requalification training that you needed to keep your job. So everybody knew him, and he was always happy and always friendly. And, that's just, sung to me, spoke to me. And now I can give back, and I'm getting that same feeling from the audience that I've created with everybody's help here. Where I get to share that information and I get to give some helpful hints and tips and tricks and stuff out, and I get some feedback and I get to learn a whole lot of things along the way.
Absolutely.
And it's this give and re-give situation. I don't want to say give and take because I'm trying to give back more than I'm getting, and so far it's working and I'm enjoying it.
Oh, that's great.
It's yeah.
What a neat comment. I'm getting back more than I'm giving. That's what it should be about. You do YouTube, right? And YouTube just is just a simple platform for people to share information on. And, do your best on it. How long does it take you to edit out? Get a video made, edit out, and put it on YouTube? How many hours does that take you?
So over the years of doing this, and I think I'm like 2 years in, so I don't even want to sound like I'm that old, but over the years of doing this, I've changed the style around a little bit. A lot of times you do stuff in the very beginning, and then you edit like crazy because you messed up things.
Yeah.
And as you get better, then you stop making those mistakes. I've tried my best to stop saying and and hang on a second or whatnot. And at the same time, I've also learned what can pass and what can't pass. Like you're shooting for perfection in your first video, and you have no clue how bad you are. And then by your 100th. No, I mean like you're trying your best to put out the highest quality product you possibly can.
And stop. That's it. You're
And
trying the
then-
hardest you can.
And you look back on it a year later and you're like, I can't believe I put that out.
I
Like I know
gotcha, I
so much
gotcha.
more now than I did.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying it in a bad way, but like
Yeah.
I mean, like just get it out there and you'll get better as time goes by. So now I have a way of doing videos where I can shoot a 5-minute video and have it done in about an hour.
Wow. Same. Takes a long time.
Yeah, and what doesn't go into that 5-minute video that takes an hour to shoot is gaining the knowledge to be able to do the 5-minute video. So I've got to learn what it is I want to show you,
Yeah.
and then I've got to go show you. And so the other benefit of YouTube, as opposed to like major production TV or movies, the audience actually expects you to grow on camera and make changes and do things. So that video that I just shot on the lake, for example, that was a brand new antenna mount, and I didn't know what that story was going to be, but I needed to get out of the house and I wanted to play
Yeah.
and I wanted to test out that antenna. And so I decided I'm going to make a series of videos on how that antenna progresses. And I've got like 5 or 6 videos in my head, and that might mean 3 videos on the channel. I don't know. But that video was, what was that, 9 or 10 minutes long?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And
wasn't too long. You covered it pretty quickly.
It took about an hour and a half to do that, and then it took another maybe an hour or so to edit it.
Mhm.
But most of that was just cutting out the stuff that didn't make sense for the story. I had to find the story in there.
Okay.
And
It was
that
well done. It was really well done. I like the sweeps. You know, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but I like the sweeps, how you kind of brought everybody along with you, kind of inside your vehicle there to see how that antenna was performing. That was very well done. Very well done, Steve.
Yeah, I had about 12 layers of clothing on. I was wearing the fingerless gloves.
How
and
cold was it that day? I got to ask.
27 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oof. And for people
Yeah,
that don't know the Northern Plains or the Midwest, you know, it's common for people to drive on lakes and all of that stuff. You'll see
Yeah.
ice fishing houses and all that. So, in fact, Minnesota a couple weeks ago had a QSL party doing on lakes. So that's the Northern culture. You know, that's the way it works. If you have a question for Steve today, his call sign, by the way, Kilo Mike 9 Golf, give it here in the comments section. Let us be part of the show, and we'd love to do that. Rod Clapp, I would call him both because his call sign is Kilo 7 Lima Alpha Papa, wanted you to talk a little about D-Star and your thoughts about D-Star and connecting up and so forth. He asked that question yesterday, and I promised him I would do it. So could you give us your thoughts on D-Star, please? And I hope I'm not stepping into a giant mess here, okay?
No, not at all. I am about 2 clicks of the push to talk button into D-Star. We do a show on Monday nights called Ham Nuggets Live, and originally it was an interview format, and we changed it up. And by we, I mean like the supporters of the channel and the audience members, and we all had a discussion on where this should go and what we can do. And so now what we do is let's try something new. Let's try a new piece of technology that's ham related, ham adjacent, ham in depth.
Mm-hmm.
That we've never tried before. And I had never tried to get the IC705 from ICOM onto D-Star by using Wi-Fi only. So there's no RF involved in terms of ham radio. There's only Wi-Fi involved.
Yep.
And we found out, it took us 2.5 hours to figure out that we were using the wrong server on the far end. The radio was doing everything that it was supposed to be doing.
Okay.
So that's step number 1, is that you can use your 705 without an antenna and get onto a specific single D-Star reflector. And then
Now, is this through Doozy?
no, this is just the ICOM 705 itself and your
interesting.
Wi-Fi network. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And then after that, I was able to get it hooked up to Pi-Star. And so the next thing that I need to do, and I'm learning as I go, the next thing that I need to do is send pictures back and forth, because I know it can do that. So I got to figure out how to do that. And then I'll make a video on how to do that. I don't know a lot about D-Star, and that's part of what the channel is about, is to learn and document as I go, to make this kind of, diary of the hobby. So I can look
Fantastic.
back when I forget how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
And
You're a humble
take it from
guy.
there.
You're a pretty humble dude. You can tell. You're not talking about how much you know, but you're talking about the journey of learning. I like that. I really do.
Yeah.
William in Jacksonville, Ape, laid back and copacetic, Tio, energetic, the go-getter. Let's do this thing. Nice
Let's
comment.
do this. Exactly.
Let's do this. I got to ask you a question. Where the heck did this plasma thing come from? I am so lost on the plasma. Is this a joke or something? I don't get it.
Well, so I think you're talking about Will N5
Yep.
EVV.
Yep.
He just showed up in the chats one day as Plasma Storm, and that's what we call him. We just call him Plasma. And then lately he's become Plasma from anime.
There you
We've
go.
developed this group of, we call it the Ham Fam, and Anime is the one that coined that term. And she's got this infectious, happy personality that makes everybody happy. And we've now grown this group. We've got 1,500 members on Toads. I've got 6,000 subscribers on my channel. Coffee and Ham Radio's crossed 1,000 subscribers a while ago. We're growing, and we're trying to make this hobby more inclusive and more happy and a much friendlier place to be.
That's great.
Really inviting for new hams and people that, like me, didn't know what they were doing.
Sure.
And then we all grow together. And
Well,
that's,
yeah, it gives you a safe place to learn things, because, I don't know if you've had the poor experience of asking a question one time on QRZ and have a handful of people basically tell you you're a moron and why did you ask the question? How'd you get your license? And then you feel like you're an idiot. So, having a safe place to ask questions is very, very important for people. I want to welcome Lucas Mish, all the way from France. Lucas, thank you for joining us today from France. Appreciate it. Also, Brent's here, Whiskey 7 Backroads. Happy Saturday to you. Andy, Mike 7, Charlie November, welcome, as well as Will Myers and Skeeter. And here's one from William, speaking of plasma. Honest comment, if it wasn't for Coffee and Ham Radio's, Toad's Discord, Ham 2.0, and Ham Radio Crash Course, I wouldn't be a ham. They rekindled the interest in ham radio. That's a beautiful comment right there. Good, love it, William.
Thank you.
Love it, Will.
Yeah.
Nice work. Nice work. Also, we've got digital ham radio diaries here. And welcome to the show, by the way. Mike
Andreas.
Zero, Foxtrot X-Ray Bravo. What's that?
Andreas.
Okay, thank you. I tried to get Andreas on the show. I'd love to have you sometime join us. It'd be great. He says, what I like about Steve's channel is he has guts to try anything, plus the knowledge and experience. It's a nice comment. Thank you, Andreas. Thank you for being part of the show. Good to see you.
And I'm not afraid of failing on camera either.
That's where you learn, man.
Yep.
That's where you learn, because you got to make mistakes in this hobby. Just don't try and make them expensive ones,
Yep.
Andy in the UK, welcome. 2 Echo Zero Romeo Echo Echo. Thank you for being here. Daniel in New Hampshire says, I grew up relatively close to a nuclear plant too, only have 3 extra toes. Well, thanks for sharing. I don't know if we probably have an answer for that. William in Jacksonville.
I've been inside a nuclear reactor on more than one occasion.
Have you? Okay. Do
Yeah.
you see any X-rays or anything? Or you're not glowing at night?
Not that I know of.
Not that
but
I
my
know
eyes
of.
are closed. I tend to
great.
sleep at night, so I'm
That's
all right.
funny. That's funny. Will in Jacksonville, how long does it take to put out 15 videos on a radio in less than 4 hours?
Well, less than 4 hours, I guess.
I guess that's the answer. He answers the question.
He's talking about the 6100. The Zygo X6100 radio came in, and all of that stuff that I did on camera was all stuff that I was going to do anyway. I might as well hit the record button and explore it with everybody, because it was like literally I got it Friday and I must have had 15 videos out by Monday morning, and I didn't sleep. My wife hadn't seen me. I might not have gone to work on Monday. I don't know. But I was like, oh my goodness, this thing is amazing what it can do, the possibilities that it presents. And then a lot of the features were crippled in it, which was kind of disappointing.
Well, the Chinese are trying. They're trying to get into the game. I think that's the main thing. We have another one of your partners in crime here, Kilo 6 Union Sierra Yankee. It says, Coffee and Ham Radio sent me. Again, thank you very much for sending them. Very nice of you. Jeez, that's great. Also, what's nice, William says here in Jacksonville, people in Toads are both Elmer and learner. It's nice. Equal footing for everyone. Greg, welcome. Bendorf, Iowa, Kilo Fox Zero, Charlie Union Zulu. Tio, thanks for checking out how to set up a net. I think it's another great step on bringing the community together. Nice comment, Greg. Talk about that, would you?
Yeah, so we are going to be working on a on a Toads net. Toads is our Discord server, and I haven't figured out the night for it yet. But the first thing that we needed to do was learn how to run the NetLogger software,
Mm-hmm.
and we made some progress on that on Ham Nuggets last week, where for the first time ever, I installed NetLogger software as a net control operator, and walked through how to run a net, how to get the software configured, how to connect it to QRZ to get the contact information, city, state, zip location stuff, some logging in terms of like making sure that you were logged into the net, and then how you can use the software yourself to see the progress of the net, see when your call's coming up. If you got to go to the bathroom or something, you'll know there's 15 calls ahead of me. I can go. It's fine.
Sure.
And and then you can actually log contacts in that and export an ADIF file, which is a common ham radio file format that you can then take somewhere else and put it into your own contact logging software, or not. I mean, it's going to be a routine net. It's going to be the same players most often. So hopefully it'll be another fun way to hang out with the community.
That's good. Finding different ways to connect is so important. And, you find people that maybe are searching for answers and they realize, hey, this guy's safe. I can talk to him. He's not going to put me down. And by the way, Chuck, I want to welcome you. You're part of Coffee and Ham Radios as well. It's an honor to have you here. Thank you, Chuck. You're welcome here anytime. Love to have you come join us, really would. Looking through the calendar here, the comments, Anton in Holland, Papa Charlie 4 Alpha Delta, had some great fun with T.O. to fix up the 8088 machine. He was working on #retro. What was that about?
Yeah, so that when you mentioned in the intro that I've got 2 channels I'm working on, and I said 3, and you were
right.
like, oh, 3.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
that was kind of the quick segue.
Yeah, I took the retro content off, which you can see a bunch of retro machines behind me here. I took the retro content off the main channel, and I made a retro channel. And on the retro channel, I explore all kinds of technology. So one of the things that I did that Anton helped with was I built a 1980s era IBM compatible PC from bare circuit boards. I populated it with all the components and then got it all turned on, and I wasn't able to get it working, but Anton came to the rescue and helped me on that. I've also built Commodore 64s from bare circuit boards on up, and that's been a lot of fun. And I have another one here today that I was supposed to be filming today.
Look at that. Is that a 64 or is that a VIC-20 keyboard?
This one's a 64.
Okay. Wow.
And, this is
that
number
brings
9
back
in the
memories.
series of repairs.
Wow. That brings back a lot of memories. Nice comment here from Germany for you. Man, you just bring some world people here. France, now Germany. Delta Mike 5 Tango uniform. Looking forward to following your show tonight. Best 73 from the city of Weimar, Germany. What would we be without Elmer's? So all the best. And his call sign is Delta Mike 5 Tango uniform slant Victor Yankee 1 QRP. Thank you for coming. It's an honor to have you here on the show today. Thank you. All right. Also, do want to welcome a dear friend all the way from the Australian back. This is such a wonderful guy. And he's also got a good YouTube channel, too. If you haven't followed him, he's good. He's Graham, Victor Kilo 3 Golf Echo Kilo. Thanks for coming today, Graham. It's always a pleasure to have you. And Chuck, seriously, that invite is always open for you to come on. We'd love to pick your brain and talk about a hot subject. Now, we came today to talk about something that we have not covered on a Saturday. And that's building your first ham shack. And that's what we want to talk about. So, Steve, talk about the important elements. You're starting from scratch, okay? Let's say you've got a budget, and this is a big budget for some people, of $1,500, okay?
Wow, yeah.
Okay, so if you're starting with that much money, how would you tell people to go to start out? And keep in mind, I know you don't normally make recommendations on your channel, but since we're talking about starting a ham shack, you kind of got to go somewhere here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the things that gets people all stalled up in the process is what they call analysis paralysis. You're trying to figure out what the best is for this or the best is for that. And there's a lot of categories to fill. In your basic ham radio station, you're going to need a power supply to power your radio. You're going to need a radio. You're going to need an antenna. And then you probably already have this. You're going to need some kind of computer in my mind. You don't need a computer. You can log on paper, but a lot of the stuff that we do today involves computers. So you're going to want to use that computer to reach out for help. You're going to want to use that computer for your logging software. You're going to want to use that computer to run digital modes like FT8 or PSK31 or any number of things. And of course, the internet exists, and that's where a lot of research and answers are for you. And The the big question is like, what should my first radio be? And I think that the answer that I will give you is that your first radio is not your last radio.
Good comment. Good comment.
Thank you. My first radio was an FT891, and I don't really use it a lot now because it was missing some of the features that I really wanted to have, but I didn't know that it was missing them because I didn't know what I wanted when I bought it.
Sure.
The FT891 is a solid radio. I have nothing but praise for it. I will say that it's missing built-in sound card. It's missing a tuner. It's missing a pan adapter, a waterfall display. And these are things that you don't need, but these are things that are fantastic for a new ham to have that makes your life a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And they're all things that you can fix, but fixing them costs more than buying a radio that already has them built in. So after about a year in the hobby, I went and bought an ICOM 7300.
Yeah.
Another fantastic radio. And that radio has the pan adapter built in. It has the
built-in
tuner
sound card.
built in. It has the built-in sound card. It has a easier to use menu interface, and it has a touch screen. And it doesn't cost more than the 891 with all of those things put in.
Yep. There you go.
So the other two things that those radios have going for them are they're both 100-watt radios. And 100 watts is not all of the power that you can use, but it's certainly enough power to get most of what you want to accomplish.
Absolutely. You know, yesterday, T.O., I just was fumbling around on 15 meters, found a weak signal, and it ended up being Spain. So I worked them at 100 watts, you know, and to be fair, he's using a 3-element Yagi, pointed my direction. So that obviously helped, but still, you know, 100 watts is a lot of power. People don't maybe realize just how much power 100 watts really is if they have a good antenna. So you're building your first shack. Where do you suggest people start? Okay. Cause everybody starts the radio, right? Cause they think, oh, the radio, it looks beautiful. Look at these beautiful radios. Would you start there? Or would you start maybe with the antenna or the feed line or the power supply? Where would you recommend people to start?
I think that you have to start with the radio and the antenna. Getting a radio without an antenna is a recipe for disaster in our hobby. A lot of the modern radios, you can key up on a radio without an antenna, and I'm not recommending that you do this, but you can, and the radio will go, oh, nope, stop. And it won't hurt itself. The older radios, you're letting some smoke out. You're going to have a bad day.
Yep.
But the antenna is probably actually the harder choice, which is really funny because antennas are super easy to make, and that's one of my favorite things in the hobby. But the harder choice because you need to know physically where to put it. You need to know how to get it connected through the house to the radio.
Yes.
You need to make sure that it's electrically safe, you know, and what I do is I just unplug it during a thunderstorm. So I don't have to worry about that.
Yep. And that's a good point. We'll stop for just a second because that's, Steve, I think you made a great point. Folks, spring is coming. In fact, tomorrow's first day of spring. So unplug your antennas when those thunderstorms are coming. Even if you have a lightning arrestor on your antenna, just unplug it anyway. It's not worth blowing your radios up or setting your house on fire. So please, simple thing to do. Sorry, Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. So I started with that G5RV antenna, which had the UHF, the PL259 connector on the end of it. So I needed some coax. So I reached out to one of the members of the ham club and asked if they had any spare coax laying around. I got 50 feet of coax for free from another club member.
Wow. And see what he said? Ham club. I like that. Did you start with the ham club before you got your license, or was it you joined afterwards?
I started before. I knew I wanted my license, but I needed to see if there was anybody in the area.
Yep. So. Great. And I love that because you got involved because you wanted to know more. That's really good. Ron Walensky has a point. November 8, Whiskey Charlie Romeo, you need to start with space to set up. That's something to keep in mind. Absolutely. Yeah. Building that antenna right space. Go ahead.
So we did mention 100-watt radios, and I want to touch on that for a minute. The reason why I recommend a 100-watt radio is because 5 watts brings a totally different challenge. And as a new ham, you have enough challenges on your plate. I do enjoy the QRP radios, and I do make them work on occasion, but I am reminded that last video on the lakefront, for example, there's no contacts made in that video because I didn't make any contacts in 2 hours with that radio. I tried 20 meters. I got it tuned up. You saw the band sweep. Everything worked great. And then nobody could hear me. And then I tuned up on 40 meters. The band sweep looked great. I could hear signals just fine, and then nobody could hear me. There are ways to solve that problem, but I was having enough fun just playing with the setup and moving forward
Good
that
for
it
you.
didn't anger me. It didn't frustrate me. But if you're a new ham and your goal is to make a contact, there's a level of frustration that comes with QRP.
Yes.
And if that's what you are after, if that's your challenge, then get after it and enjoy it. And if you want to make a contact in an easier fashion, the radios cost about the same.
Yeah.
The 6100 is $600 and some dollars. The 705 is $1,200.
Yeah.
Those are both fantastic QRP rigs. The 7300 is usually around $900. So somewhere in the middle, you get yourself a 100-watt HF rig, and you
Yeah.
can still take it portable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I took mine to Hawaii. It was great. Worked out really well. We're live with T.O. Steve from Coffee and Ham Radios, as well as Temporarily Offline and the Toads Group. And he's answering your questions. Please put them in the comment section. We'll be happy to ask those of Steve. And Steve, thanks again for coming on. This is an honor for me to have you.
Yeah.
Would you talk a little bit? Okay, so we're talking about building our first ham shack. I always say start with the antenna because that's the most important thing you have to have is a good antenna. Could you touch a little bit on antennas that maybe you know a little bit about that might be useful for a new ham?
Sure. So the antenna that I started with was the famous, the world fabulous, the world renowned G5RV
G5RV.
that everybody loves to hate.
Yep.
And I will say, and I've said this many times before, the G5RV, when used for its intended design purpose, is a fantastic antenna.
Yeah, it is.
When you
Yep.
buy into the hype that it's an all band doublet or it's an all band antenna or whatever, I mean, anything can do anything you want it to if you try hard enough, but it's Louis Varney didn't design it for that. Mr. G5RV himself didn't design it for that.
That's right.
Now, take that one step farther. I put it up in the air on top of a flagpole that I have that's made of aluminum, 25-foot tall flagpole. So I'm already at the wrong height.
Yeah.
The flagpole's aluminum, so it's interacting.
Yes.
That's mistake number 2. And I've got it running as an inverted V, and the sides go all the way down to the ground. That's mistake number 3
Yeah.
or 4 or 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, the CQ Worldwide contest happened, and I made a contact to Japan on that antenna in that configuration.
That's phenomenal. Seriously, that's phenomenal. It really is. I mean, it worked. It still worked.
The band conditions were good because contests create their own band conditions.
Yep.
The contacts were eager and willing to be there. I was on the radio and I pushed the button and it worked.
That's it.
And I can get better for sure. You can do a lot better for sure. A dipole is super easy to make. If you have an antenna tuner, a dipole is even easier to make because you don't have to try as hard.
Right.
So, I mean, you can make, we did one on a Ham Nuggets live stream in under an hour. We built it and tuned it, and we didn't make any contacts with it because we did it in the shack at the time.
Right.
But that's like,
Fantastic.
it was just 2 pieces of wire and some coax and we were done. So, what is your first antenna? I think you're going to need some help from a friendly ham, which can be on YouTube. It can be on the Toads Discord. It can be in the chat of a video somewhere. It can be on QRZ, or it can be in your local ham club. And I've learned a lot since those days of putting that up. My go-to antenna for home use right now is the DX Commander.
Yeah,
I don't
mine
think
too.
you can get a more versatile, lower cost antenna than the DX Commander. And you can't even build it yourself for
And
the
it's
cost that
quality
he's selling
parts. It's quality
it's good
parts.
stuff.
Yeah, mine's been up almost 2 years now in my backyard continually. So what you get is really good. It's just, learning how to cut the radials and how to build everything. But that's the fun part. You learn from your mistakes. Andy New from the UK, using my first ham transceiver to gain knowledge about operating on air by listening to experienced hams. That's a nice comment, Andy. You're right about that. Yeah, that's a good comment. Will Myers in your beautiful state, he says, T.O. is right. Figuring out what antenna and how to run the coax to it was his biggest challenge. And he has a hex beam that's frozen in snow on the ground. And he's made calls to Japan, to Alaska, to Hawaii
under the
with it
snow.
stuck on the ground. Yes.
Wow.
No
Yeah, I
kidding.
always tell people about Nevis antennas. So we talk about Nevis a little bit. Near vertical incidence skywave propagation. That's a big mouthful of
Yeah.
absolutely nothing if you're a new ham.
Yep.
What it means is put your antenna low to the ground,
Mhm.
and your propagation will go up and come back down locally, as opposed to going broadly out and
Yeah.
coming down.
Yeah.
I'm off camera. Broadly out and coming down
It's okay.
farther away.
Yeah.
It's a thing. It's different. Yes. It's super easy. I went to Tractor Supply. I got their step-in posts for putting up temporary cattle fencing, electric fence wire.
Mhm.
These things are 3 foot tall and super easy to put in and take back out again. And I ran a horizontal end-fed half wave, and I made contacts to both coasts in the U.S.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
let cranky old people ruin your ham day.
There
Put
you
your
go.
antenna up.
Great comment. Yep. Yep. And they're out there, and we've seen them and heard them, and we have a little segment every show about them.
I was trying to be politically correct when I said that.
Thank you. You did well. You did well, my friend. You did just fine. That's great. Okay, so an antenna. Okay, so there's different antennas out there, and the G5RV is not a bad antenna. It's just that when it was designed, really was designed for 20 meters. So,
Yep.
if you're looking for that and you want to work 20, it'll do that. Will it tune other frequencies with an external tuner? Yeah, it'll do that. You just won't put as much power out. But there are great antenna solutions out there. Let's talk about feed line. Okay, feed line from your antenna to your shack, because that's important too. What would you recommend people start with there, Tio?
I would say start with some coax. And the reason I say that, and it's quote unquote wrong, the reason I say that is because the back of your radio has a coax connector on it.
Yes.
It doesn't have the connector for ladder line on
Ladder
the
line
back
or
of it.
or one feeder, just a single feeder in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
Okay.
coax makes it easy for you, and you're going to use coax in your ham career as you go forward at
Yes.
least 1,000 times, if not more.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Good comment.
Um,
Yeah,
I
and
do
you're not
have.
gonna get rid of that. You get rid of your radio or change out your antenna. You'll swap those, but you'll keep your feed line. You're not usually going to sell your feed line. So
Right.
step up and buy some good feed line. Mike in Jacksonville, Kilo Delta 2, Sierra X-ray Delta. My first antenna was an end-fed half wave, 80 to 10 meters, and now my go-to is the DX Commander Classic with the 80-meter add-on. That's good, and you learned how to build an antenna in the process, and that's worth a lot, I think, when you learn from doing it. Okay, so we're talking coax, and you'd recommend coaxial cable versus window line. All right. So to start out with a radio, what are some things that you learned would have been important for you by experience of not having it with that first Yaesu?
Yeah, so I couldn't get onto digital modes without spending extra money. That was one thing. And then not having a tuner was crippling, especially with a G5RV.
Yeah.
I knew that my antenna was not suitable for all bands, and I also knew that you had to have perfect SWR because that's beaten into you in the very beginning. You get your ham license, and somebody I don't know, somebody gets you a couple of times with a sharp stick, and then you never stray from SWR again. Which is actually not true, because some of the best antennas, like the doublet antenna, everybody raves about the doublet antenna, is not resonant. So that tuner experience was weird. I went to a silent key estate, and I picked up this Kenwood here,
Mm-hmm.
and the Kenwood's got a built-in 3-to-1 tuner, and it made a big difference on my operating. Still didn't have a built-in sound card, but it did have that tuner, and I felt a lot safer with the tuner.
That's good. So look for something maybe with a tuner that's on board. Look for something that already has a sound card. That way you can do digital modes. It's good to have that. So anything else you can think of, Steve?
For new ham, good power supply. This was another thing that got me. It's a 12-volt radio. I'll just plug in a 12-volt wall wart. Right?
Exactly. Yes.
No,
Yes.
no, that's not the case. So I have a video that I'm working on that. I grabbed a whole bunch of leftover 12-volt power supplies, and I'm going to go over, will they work? Will they not work? Some of them will, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of 5-amp 12-volt wall wart setups, and I've got a 7-amp 12-volt wall wart, and I think that might be 7 amps in label only, not in reality.
Okay.
Because it's awful light. But we'll plug it into a radio, and we'll see what happens. And you know, I'm on the other end of some experience and I know that what is going to happen isn't going to ruin my day.
Yes.
But you might not know that as a new ham. It's not going to, you're not going to get any contacts with it, but it's not going to ruin your day. I don't recommend doing it, but I'll show you why and what will happen, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah. Yeah. What I love about all of this is that you're really passionate about teaching others, about helping them learning in the experience. It showed really well in the video that you showed there by the lake, you know, it was frozen over, that you were really concerned about teaching people about running band sweeps and know what SWR was, and that you just brought them along for the talk. You've got a good personality for that. You have a background in teaching?
I do not have a background in teaching. My background is in IT.
Okay.
And my teaching skills date all the way back to 2016.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
not much.
you're doing very well. You really are. Andy new from the UK. However, when you do make a contact, you feel you've really achieved something special. Andy, that is the comment of the show right there. Thank you, Andy. That's a great comment. Yep. And our comment, I mean, look, if you're working shortwave or you're on CBN 11 meters or you're on ham and you make a great call, it makes your day. It's a big deal, you know? And by then, you're not caring about anything else. You're just grateful to share that you've made a great call. I need to share this. This is very important because this man's pretty sick. Bass in the Netherlands says, just here to say hello to everyone and my friend Larry. Can't watch the whole show, but I'm okay and still alive. Bass, that's great news. That's really great news. That is a comment of the show. Thank you, Bass. Really, man, glad to have you here. Okay, so we've got everything filled out. We just need to make sure we got a good power supply. What type of things do people need to look at in choosing a power supply?
So for power supplies, this is going to be part of that video, but I'll give you a sneak peek of this one.
Okay.
Look in the owner's manual that came with your radio. If your radio didn't come with an owner's manual, you can easily find them online for free.
Yes.
So I have a PDF copy of every one of my manuals, and some of them are even searchable PDFs. So inside of the owner's manual, it will tell you the minimum number of amps that the power supply needs to produce.
Yes.
So for my Zygo X6100, it wants 8 amps. It'll run with less. I think they're just being safety there.
Mm-hmm.
The 7300, the owner's manual says 21 amps minimum.
Yep.
You can produce more. The radio is not going to get hurt by it because the radio will only pull what the radio is going to pull. I mean, you can supply it with 50 amps and it's only going to pull 20. You can supply it with 100 amps and it's only going to pull 20 because it doesn't know how to pull any more than that.
Right.
I wouldn't buy a 100 amp power supply. That's going to be pretty expensive. But
and heavy. Yeah.
Yeah. Used ham radio power supplies are built like tanks. Most of the time they're okay. You can test them out with a real simple multimeter. All you need to know is, does it produce somewhere below 14 volts? And most of the time they're going to do 13.8 volts.
Yeah.
And so the person you buy it from is probably going to have a multimeter handy, but you can bring one of your own. I mean, you can get a multimeter for 20 or 30 bucks.
Yes.
This one here, for example, is a fancy, looks kind of like a touchscreen smartphone, although it's not touchscreen. It's $45, and you're going to use that a lot in your ham radio career.
Yeah.
So test it out. I had a PS430 that goes with the TS430, the other old Kenwood up there, and it was putting out 20 volts.
Wonderful. Worked great.
Friend of mine put a new, 20 volts was bad.
Oh, sorry. I guess. No, I'm thinking amps. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Yeah. 20 amps is fine, but not 20 volts.
So we replaced the voltage regulator on it, and it's back to putting out the right 13 volts
0.8,
and
yeah.
good to go.
Good. Andy in the UK, does Steve prefer linear or switching supplies?
I don't have enough knowledge to answer that question.
And that's a fair answer. That really is. Really. I'll say this, Andy. The switching supplies, when you go through the tests, they tell you that they can create RF noise. But the switching power supplies today are pretty darn good. They really are. You'll do pretty good. Look at some of the comments on eHam. That might be a place to start and find your answer there. So everybody wishing all the same to Bass that he's in good shape. I know Tio's a multitasker. Let me explain something to you. I figured this out already. Tio multitasks. He's answering questions on the stream. He's paying attention to Larry's questions. He's typing on the chat. And he's also a super dad. So he's doing everything all at one time. See that? Multiple YouTube channels. When do you sleep, man?
I actually get extremely routine sleep, which is probably part of the reason I can multitask so well. I go to bed like a light switch at 10 p.m. and I wake up without an alarm clock at 6 a.m. every morning.
Really? Wow, that's
It's
fantastic. That's
It doesn't matter
fantastic.
what's going on at 10 o'clock. I'm out.
Are your children at all interested in the hobby?
Yeah, I have five daughters, three of which are licensed, um, and then two of them have their own YouTube channels, and one of them
Wow.
just dropped a video on Thursday where she's playing with her 705 that the viewers of my channel donated to her.
Isn't that nice? That is really cool. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
You also talked about the youth camp that
Mhm.
that we have during the summertime. How much are you involved in that?
I am a financial contributor to make sure that that gets off the ground successfully, gets on the air successfully.
Way to go, man. Way to go. So
And
you contribute money to help make sure the camp is solvent. That's great.
Yeah.
Good. Man, seriously, that's really good. That's really good. Let me know. We need to talk about that because I'll make a donation this year too, because I really
Excellent.
believe in that because, we have to be able to hand this hobby down someday and we need to hand it down in good shape. So I love the fact you're involved in that. I mean that very much. Tio, good work. Wow.
Yeah.
See,
So
I was
two of
told
my
I got to
kids
keep
went
an
there
eye
last
on
year.
you. I got to watch after you. And also, people said that, when I said you were coming, and you've just been a pleasure. You really have been.
Oh,
You've
you
been
got you got some bad reports on me?
and I won't say it was from the smoking age. Oh, I'm sorry. Did that come out? Excuse me? No, you're not sure that was my inside voice talking. Excuse me.
I don't know. I don't know. If Abe's going to talk bad about me, I'm going to reveal his call sign.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. 45 Auto. He's probably playing FT8 as well. He probably is great, man. That's a great comment. Oh my gosh.
I do that sometimes, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. What's your biggest joy in radio? What's the thing that motivates you? Is there any mode you like to use that you really get excited using?
Actually, no, to tell you the truth, this might sound weird. It might not sound weird. I bet there's a large percentage of the world that does the same thing that I do. I like to tinker and build and repair and dissect things more than I like to pick up a microphone and talk. So
Interesting.
my ham radio contact log has a lot of contacts in it, but not as many as you might think. I spend more time building stuff than I do, getting on the air and talking. And I spend more time making videos about building stuff and encouraging people to do whatever it is that excites them in this hobby. And then outside of that, I really enjoy Parks on the Air, but that's a limited activity around
Yes.
here.
Yeah, especially this time of year. Yeah, absolutely. Let people know, because we talked offline about this. How cold was it that day you produced that video on the lake?
Yeah, the lake video was 27 degrees Fahrenheit. There was over a foot of ice, and I could have driven my 6,000-pound truck onto the ice without fear that day.
Wow.
I did not,
Yeah.
but I could have. And
Wow.
I usually take a friend with me whenever I do something like that. And it's really, it's a weird feeling because I'm not a native northerner,
Yeah.
but I've taken my pickup truck out on the ice, and what you do is you go out to the center of the ice where everybody else is with their big 6,000-pound pickup trucks and their 15,000-pound campers, and
Yeah.
all of you are all together drilling holes in the ice.
That's right. Yeah, to get fish. Yeah.
It's different, but
different world.
that ice is floating on top of water.
Yes,
So
exactly. It's not frozen stiff.
it's not like there's a big gap between the bottom of the ice and the top of whatever it is that's it's all right there.
No kidding. And it's a
interesting.
different feeling because I'm not also from the north, but man, my first time, my friend said, hey, he says at the time, he says, you gotta go out there. Come on, let's go for a walk on the lake. I'm like, I ain't going out there. Are you out of your mind? No, look, there's vehicle tracks. They go out here all the time. I'm like,
All the time.
okay, well, if I guess a truck can go out there, maybe I'll step out a little bit. And you don't feel it. You don't feel anything. But if you get a vehicle out there, you can hear some cracks sometimes. That's kind of a scary time. What is your go-to radio?
Well, I guess it depends on the season. Right now, it's the 6100, and I'll tell you why. Because of that band sweep function that I demonstrated in that lake video, I can take the radio, I can take the antenna, I can take a battery, and that's all I need. I don't need I don't need an antenna analyzer. I don't need an antenna tuner. I don't even need a microphone because it's got a microphone built into it. So it's really like everything that's there. And then second behind that, people are going to laugh when I say this, second behind that would be the 705, because the 705 is another similar Swiss Army knife style of radio,
Yes.
but it brings 2 meter and 440 and D-Star to the table,
Mm-hmm.
where the 6100 stops at HF.
Mm-hmm. Are you really into QRP?
I am into the ability to toss that thing in my backpack and have a large station in a small package. QRP building is a lot of fun. QRP operating has its own level of interesting to it.
Yes.
You have to have a different skill set to bring to the table, and I don't have a complete set of skills for QRP yet. It's very easy to toss a 100-watt radio into operation and make contacts, and it's very difficult to toss a 5-watt radio into operation and make contacts.
Yeah,
Comparatively.
No, I totally agree with you, man. And you have to have so much patience doing QRP as well. You know, William in Jacksonville, anyone with an Amazon account can set Youth on the Air as their Smile charity. That's a good way to do it. And folks, keep in mind, there's an easy way to do that. You can Google search how to make a charitable donation through Amazon, and you'll find out how to do that. Anton in Holland, not a northerner. Where from? Well, you want to share where you're from?
Yeah, sure. I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, and we've talked about this before because the first Ham Nuggets episode we did, Smoke and Ape came on, and he was my interview guest. And Ape and I both grew up in Baltimore, and Ape doesn't live in Baltimore anymore, so I'm not giving anything away. But yeah, so I grew up in.
Ape is like the clandestine ham. He's like, he's a ham, but what's the call sign? Everybody, must have half a dozen people asking that when he came on.
He's a national man of mystery.
He is, yes. See?
Yeah, so I was in Baltimore for the first 5 years of my life, and then I moved down to Southern Maryland, where that power plant is, and lived there for the next forever of my life. And then I moved out to Wisconsin, where I am now. That's not a secret. And I came out here in 2014.
Oh, boy.
And then we're going to have another life-changing journey here in another year or two. So we're going to be taking the next chapter of our lives and enjoying the adventure.
Yeah. Well, and you're a parent. There's a lot of memories you're making right now. How do you balance all this? I mean, you've got YouTube, multiple channels, right? You're trying to also learn and build and grow yourself. Where do you find time for all of this?
So it's actually not that hard for me to find the time, because this is stuff that I would have been doing anyway, and doing it on video makes it take a little bit longer, maybe a lot longer depending on the video in question.
Sure.
But right now my kids are old enough that they've got, school to go to during the day, and they've got work to go to during the weekends. And, some of them have grown up and left the nest on their own. And I've got 2 that are married. I've got 2 granddaughters as well.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I've got free time, because life is different when you get older than it is when you're younger. So this is the season for something like this.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Because, your life is filled with seasons. Wow. I'm learning a lot about you that I didn't realize, which is fantastic. And I mean that in a good way. I really do.
Good.
Any big goals you've got that you'd like to achieve?
In life or in ham radio?
Both.
Well, in life, I don't know, what my goals are in life is to have a fun retirement, and fun retirement requires funding retirement. So that's where I'm currently at.
Yeah.
I would not cry if I left behind some kind of legacy that people would recognize me for, like the G5RV antenna as an example. Everybody knows what that is. And they would not have known what that was without ham radio. So that's a good thing there. So I'm hoping that the YouTube channel and the community that we're building and changing the face of, the reputation you mentioned earlier from a certain website, trying to remove that stigma from ham radio is something that I'm working towards doing.
That's good.
Ham radio goals themselves, I'm really close to worked all states.
Congratulations.
I think I have the same ones that everybody is missing: South Dakota, Hawaii,
Wyoming.
Yeah, Wyoming, because there's like 3 hams in each of those locations. And I'm gonna cheat on as many of those as I can by going to South Dakota and making an outbound contact instead. And then, hey, would you mind calling me back?
That's great. That's funny as heck. Oh, that's great. Well, that's pretty sweet. We're live with T.O., also known as Steve, also known as Kilo Mike 9 Golf. What a treat. What a treat. Family man, someone says he's a grandpa. Yes, he is. He doesn't look like it. He looks like he's like in his late 30s, early 40s. I mean, he looks great. Wow. And we're going to have a sign off today from where you grew up near Baltimore. So we'll honor you with that today. Anything you'd like to share with the group here today before we skedaddle? We've been here an hour already.
Wow.
I know. Time flies when you're having fun with someone special. So I'm grateful you stayed so long.
Larry, this has been a fantastic show today, and I really appreciate your energy and your genuine. I don't even know what the word is for this, but I know a very few number of people that have the same mindset that you do, and it's always refreshing to talk to them because you come across as extremely genuine and happy, and you want to share what's going on in your life in a positive manner. And there are some people that take that too far, and there are some people that need to, take lessons from both of us and do a bit better job.
Appreciate
so you're an awesome guy, Larry, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Well, it's an honor. Charlie at Red Summit, November Juliet 7 Victor, said some really nice comments about me yesterday, and I was so taken back by it. He and I don't care about subscriber counts. It's just about teaching and helping. And you seem the same way. You seem exactly the same way. It doesn't matter how many people watch, just as long as somebody learns something, including yourself, that you let yourself learn too. That's humility. And that's something that a lot of people just don't have today enough of. So I'm really grateful for you. I really do. Coffee and Ham Radios, we haven't talked enough about that. Talk a little bit about when it starts, what it's going to be about tomorrow, and, tell people, about Toads a little bit too that may not know about it.
Yeah. So Coffee and Ham Radios is a morning zoo style radio show that we've brought to YouTube. Tomorrow's show starts at 9 a.m. Central Time. We have the topic of GMRS versus ham. And we're going to try and talk about it in terms of...
That's interesting.
Like you're an overlander, you're an off-roader, you are a camper. Which one of these makes more sense and is more usable in that situation? And I don't actually know what the answer is, but we'll find out tomorrow as we discuss and explore the topic. So it could be an interesting thing for us to figure out which one of those is better for you. I think ham might get you farther distance. I think GMRS might get you more utility. And I don't know the answer to that yet.
Yeah, providing there's a repeater nearby that you can knock a repeater on the GMRS system. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because you can have repeaters on both.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. GMRS is interesting for people that may not know about it. And it's just above 70 SEMS. So, it's UHF, line of sight, but with repeaters, you can do a lot with it. It's an interesting part of radio. It truly is. Tio, anything else you want to share before you skedaddle and enjoy the rest of your Saturday?
What I say every time I sign off my videos, I always say, thanks for being awesome.
Hey, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. All right, brother, I'll be right back with you, okay?
Sure.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve. We've been live with somebody that I really have enjoyed a visit with and would like to spend another hour with because he was that good. That is Steve, Kilo Mike 9 Golf, also known as TO, which stands for Temporarily Offline. He's a really nice guy, and if you haven't seen his videos, please subscribe to both channels, not only Coffee and Ham Radio, but his channel as well, Temporarily Offline. You'll learn a lot because he cares enough to teach you as he learns as well. Find it here on YouTube. I know you'll enjoy his material. Coming up next weekend, Kevin, Kilo Zero, Kilo Lima Bravo from Iowa, could join us talking about QRP and unconventional antennas. Should be a lot of fun. Please join us. It says 19, it should be 1900 UTC, not 20, so please forgive me. 1900 UTC, that's 7 p.m. in London, so 7 o'clock London time. Here in the States, 3 p.m. in the Eastern time zone and noon Pacific. Please join us. We'd love to have you be part of that show. If you're in Australia, like our friend Gerald is today, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. Graham, Victor Kilo 3 Golf Echo Kilo. If you're in Australia like Graham, it'll be at 6 a.m. your time, right? We're going to close the show with a sign off from where Steve was born and raised, the beautiful city of Baltimore, Maryland. And this is a classic sign off because it comes from Westinghouse, a Westinghouse station. I'm not sure if WJC is still owned by Westinghouse, but Westinghouse was the broadcast pioneer in radio. My name's Larry. My call sign is Kilo 7 Hotel November. God bless you. Thanks for watching Ham Radio Live. Till we meet again, See you soon. Goodbye, everybody.
This is a Group W station. Westinghouse Broadcasting, WJZ-TV, Channel 13 in Baltimore. WJZ-TV is owned and operated by Westinghouse Broadcasting Company, Incorporated, in Maryland, with studios and transmitter facilities located at Television Hill in Baltimore. Operating on Channel 13 by authority of the Federal Communications Commission. The programs broadcast by this station may not be used for any other purpose except exhibition at the time of their broadcast on receivers of the type ordinarily used for home reception in places where no admission, cover, and mechanical operation charges are made. The staff of WJZ-TV now bids you a pleasant good night.